Hello, my name is Melissa Gray, and I am the Pro Bono Director at Texas Advocacy Project. Texas Advocacy Project started as a general legal hotline over 40 years ago. The volunteer lawyers at that time began to notice that their callers were mostly women who were asking for legal advice about family law matters, primarily domestic violence and other types of abuse. It was at that time that we became a nonprofit law firm specializing in family law matters. Texas Advocacy Project provides free legal services statewide to victims of dating and domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, stalking, and human trafficking. Our services are available to anybody, regardless of age, gender, socioeconomic status, sexual identity, or immigration status. We are just building our pro bono program, and I hope that we will have a long relationship with each of you over the coming years. But today, we are here to talk about the coerced debt pilot program that you will be lending your talents to as pro bono attorneys. I am here to touch briefly on how Texas Advocacy Project is participating in this pilot and give you an overview of the process between when an eligible client is referred to TAP and when you will be assigned to the client. I will also be talking to you about next steps on your pathway to becoming a pro bono attorney for this pilot. Eligible clients will come to Texas Advocacy Project in one of two ways. First, and most commonly, they will be referred to TAP by an advocate from one of our participating partners. There are 5 organizations that provide shelter and direct services to victims of domestic violence that are participating in this pilot. The other way a client can come into the pilot is by contacting TAP directly through our legal line or our online application. Our dedicated intake specialists are the first touch point for these clients. They contact the client and complete a short intake with them that includes a quick safety check, and if necessary, we'll do safety planning with the client. Next, our intake specialists will gather identifying information about the client and the abuser in order to run a conflicts check. While they are on the phone, they will run the conflicts check through our system, and if there are no conflicts, they will schedule a 1-hour legal consult with one of TAP's staff attorneys. Our intake specialists schedule these consults for times when the survivor can speak safely for 1 hour, taking into consideration the survivor's living, work, and childcare situation. We also ensure that all of the information that has been sent with the advocate's referral, as well as the information gathered during the intake call, has been captured in our legal server database. This is important so that our attorneys do not have to ask the client to repeat her story again, thereby avoiding the risk of re-traumatizing her. When our staff attorney calls the client, the first thing we always do is ensure that the survivor is safe. If she is not, we start the call by creating a safety plan. Then the attorney moves on to explore what civil legal issues the survivor might have. TAP attorneys will issue spot for any potential civil legal issues that arise from the abuse. It could be that the client needs a protective order or a divorce, or is having a custody and visitation issue. Well, these are the most common issues we find. Our attorneys are also looking for things like housing security, including needing to break a lease for safety purposes, eligibility for crime victims' compensation, and other legal issues that frequently arise due to the abuse. By the end of the call, our attorneys have discussed the available legal options, provided an overview of the legal process, estimated timelines, and most importantly, laid down the next steps that a survivor must consider. We will always support the client in his or her choices. Justice looks different for everyone, and it is important when working with survivors of abuse to give them autonomy in deciding what justice looks like to them. In addition to issue spotting generally, our staff attorneys will also discuss the client's coerced debt issues and confirm that the client is eligible to participate in this pilot. Eligibility at this stage means that the client is safe and in a stable enough environment to perform the tasks necessary to obtain coerced debt relief, and that she consents to being referred to a pro bono attorney. Once the client consents and signs a release of information form, we can begin the process of matching them with one of you. Okay, so as a pro bono attorney for this pilot, what can you expect? The first thing to remember is that this is a pilot program. What this means is that there may be bumps and adjustments along the way. We have worked very hard to ensure that all the processes we have put in place will flow smoothly. However, we do appreciate your patience and your feedback throughout the pilot, and I will be with you every step of the way. My role in this pilot is to coordinate the assignment of clients to pro bono attorneys. Once a client is referred to TAP, I will track the client's progress through TAP's intake and legal consult process. When the consult is complete and we know we have a client interested in participating in the pilot and being assigned a pro bono attorney, I will prepare the file to be transferred to one of you. At this point, you will receive an email from me asking if you are available to accept a pro bono client for this pilot. In the email, I will provide you with all of the information I have to allow you to perform an internal conflicts check. I will send you the name and date of birth for both the client and the adverse party. Ideally, I will have the client's credit report and will be able to list the potential creditors in this email as well. However, we may not always have the credit report prior to assigning a client to you. Therefore, you will have to run a conflicts check once you receive the credit report, and it may result in you being conflicted out from representing the client. This possibility is stated clearly in our sample legal services agreement that you will be asking the client to sign. Once you have accepted the representation, I will send you the client file containing the notes captured during the client intake and the legal consult, the client's credit report that was pulled by the client or her shelter advocate, if it is available, any other relevant information we have collected, and the contact information for the client. You will also receive any further instructions that may be necessary, including where you can find all of the sample forms and other resources for this pilot. We will inform the client that she has been assigned to a pro bono attorney and will put you in touch with one another via email. The first stop whenever you need support during your representation is to contact me via email at probono@texasadvocacyproject.org. I will be monitoring this email address throughout the pilot. We will be compiling a list of FAQs that may be helpful for general questions, but if your question does not appear on the list, and if I don't know the answer, I will connect you with one of our partner attorneys who is offering legal support during the pilot. If something beyond the scope of your representation arises, please explain to your client that you are only assigned to help her with her coerced debt, and then refer her back to Texas Advocacy Project. You can do that by contacting me directly, and I will ensure that we reach out to the client to make her another appointment with a TAP attorney. Remember, your client has already spoken to a TAP attorney, and if there were any legal issues identified during that consultation, the TAP attorney is already working with the client to solve those. If any new family law issues arise during your work with the client, please refer them back to TAP. Once I receive word that you have completed this training, I will send you an email welcoming you to the pilot and asking you to complete a short pro bono attorney application. This will ensure that you are officially part of the Coerced Debt Pilot Program and are willing to take a client when one has been identified and screened. Thank you so much for your interest in participating in this pilot.